constituents and bringing the bureaucrats in with them. That's the hard, grueling work of serving in this office. Very few people will do it. We do it because I believe it's the right thing to do. Yes, two. Oops, yes, Hans.
Having been there and going there again, do you think there's any possibility of making drastic changes, like getting rid of whole departments, like the Department of Energy, Education, HUD, all of which are totally useless and spending a heck of a lot of money?
I think that the bigger fight right now is going to be to get the economy going. In other words, you can spend your energies on one fight or another. It's just like combat. You either choose this battlefront or that battlefront. We will know more after Thursday. There's going to be a significant announcement what Republicans are committing to work on. So I don't even know what they're going to say, but I suspect that it's going to focus on job creation first. I think we're going to try to start holding those bureaucracies accountable. I think that there are going to be suggestions of how to rein the bureaucracies in. But I think the primary focus is going to be on job creation. Yes, sir. John.
Steve, here in Otero County, we're blessed with a rather unique newspaper. And we had a headline here the other day that was clean air up for debate. Well, what it really was, it should have said cap and trade is being debated. Mexico's trying to do it on the state level. And I'm curious, how can you help us get out the word to southern New Mexico what will happen if New Mexico implements its own cap and trade? And the fact that Harry did indeed vote for it. And you know, we need to hammer that home. I'd like to know how you can get that.
You bet. The first thing is that we have an ad running right now which is talking about Harry's vote on cap and trade, and I suspect that we're going to see some more down the stretch. So the first thing is there. Second thing is, I mentioned it constantly, that cap and trade does nothing for air. It does nothing. You don't have to curb carbon emissions at all under cap and trade. All you have to do is pay somebody that's already getting very wealthy from having some imaginary trade credits that have been just given to them. So it is absolutely nothing about the air, and it is all about taxes. Same thing I say about the health care bill. The health care bill didn't hire any doctors, but it hires 16,000 IRS agents. If you wanted to believe that the health care bill is more of a tax bill than a health care bill, you would have good cause to believe that. So just know that that we are trying to get the word out. The cap and trade is going to devastate New Mexico's economy. We'll keep that message going, but you all need to be talking about it to your friends. It's when you all talking about it here on the streets that it really begins to reverberate. Yes, sir.
The last meeting we had at the citizen, we brought up about what you could do, what you were going to do, or what you would do against Obamacare. And you said the main thing was that you could start off by defunding it. Now the Republican Party has kicked on to what you were saying. So do you think you would sign on if there are new American contractors in the Republican Party?
Absolutely, I don't have any problem at all saying that we would work to defund Obamacare. There are a lot of provisions in it. By the way, I carry around this little document. I'm now carrying several documents, so I have to fish around to get the right one. But it's a little bit too small to see, but you can see the complex. That's the bureaucracy that was created by the health care bill, and we should target certain squares and little dots in there to defund those. It's 122 different agencies that are going to be between you and your doctor to find your health care. And so it's only Washington speak that says this is going to give you some better health care than what you're finding right now. We all know that the lower and the closer to you the decisions are made, then the better off you are in all circumstances, but especially in healthcare circumstances. But absolutely, the commitment is strong. And I do start to hear that out of Washington now, so good. I'm glad. Thank you. All right, we'll keep the words going. Other questions? Yes?
What are the real chances of repeal?
Real chances of repeal have to have a different president. In other words, you could never get the president to sign that, not this president. So it would definitely be 2.5 years from now, minimum. But then, you know, so then it's whether or not the American public is still this fired up then. So the questions of repeal are very difficult to answer. I would say they're almost zero with President Obama in office. Fair enough? That takes House, the Senate, and the President to pass any action. To block any action just takes one of the three. The president can veto, the House cannot pass, the Senate cannot pass, so you can block. So you can block funding much easier. That's our greatest strength, is that even if we don't even have to take the majority. All we have to get is close enough so that 10 or 15 vulnerable Democrats side with us to block funding, and that it's possible. So again, our playing field is much broader on blockage rather than on repeal. Always have just one rule, and that's everybody with one question gets to go first. So you're on number one on the number two list. 1, 2, John. Oh, it's like an auction too. You have to, if you, I almost called on you to ask a question because of how I saw your hand flying. Yes.
And do you have any suggestions about how I can just kind
Yes,
of
the tax cuts were to everybody except those who don't pay taxes. And even if you want to do the mathematical thing, there was a tax cut for the people who don't even pay taxes. They get more money back without paying anything in. So actually, yes, the first thing that we should point out is that tax increases will kill jobs. So if our economy is at 9.5% unemployment right now, we're going to see that unemployment jump up because more jobs are going to be killed because of the tax increases. But the second thing is everybody got tax cuts in that. Everybody. And it's not just the middle class that would keep their taxes. It's all classes of people. Now, we've been hearing all this rambling around from the other side about how bad the Bush policies are, but now then you see they're afraid to repeal because the people don't want this tax increase that the Democrats are thinking about. Secondly, with all their talk about the war and against Bush, they are still in both wars. They still are doing the Wall Street bailouts that began under Bush that everybody was complaining about, and I personally voted against them. Don't think they should be there. But we're still doing all those policies, so really what you have is more a demonization. We're demonizing President Bush, and we need him to blame things on. But the truth is that they understand that those policies are better than anything that they're going to come up with, and so they continue to extend those. So it's always nice to have those facts at hand as we're discussing. Other questions? Yes?
What do you see border security and immigration reform going
Well, right now, I think today the Democrats are trying to put an amnesty provision in the defense authorization bill. So if you're going to fund troops, then you're going to have to go along with an amnesty bill. That's not, we just shouldn't use soldiers and veterans as political pawns in the process. But where I see the border security needing to go is 75% of Americans are saying secure the border. That's across party lines. They're saying that we must take care that the violence, that the crime that is spreading across the border is becoming a threat to everyone. And so Americans are saying that, and if the current Congress doesn't do it, then they're going to unelect as many as they need to until it gets passed. Then the public has a way of settling down. So secure the border is the first thing. I think that one of the elements to that is to do reform on immigration and separate those people who want to work from the people who are running drugs. Let's make it easier to get an answer, can I come here legally? That's one of the things that causes pressure on the border. And if we will if we will secure the border and simultaneously do some reform on making it easier to get an answer, can I come here to be a citizen or can I come here to work? I think most people, nationwide, worldwide, everything, I think most people would follow the law. But we can't give them an answer, and so they say, well, if I can't get an answer, I'll just go there and raise my family, and I'll be back home before they could give me an answer. So basically, that's where I think that it needs to go. The other side, obviously, my opponent has said that the amnesty, a pathway to citizenship for those people who are here without documentation, just absolutely would increase the demand for coming here illegally. Anytime you say, okay, get here illegally and we'll eventually make you a citizen, that's going to cause more and more people to come. That's the mistake we made in the 80s. We were supposed to give the amnesty program, which we did, But the second part, we were supposed to secure the border, we never did. Now then, we had a 7 million people problem then, now it's 15 or 30 million, whichever the number is. Other questions? Yes? Yes?
In November, last year, the president signed a mandate for funding for short review, penalize the doctors. They determined a person's treatment is maintenance versus acute care, blah, blah, blah. If Congress changes, is all that still gonna, I mean, and they started in August doing that, is that gonna be able to continue?
It would continue unless the Congress reverses it. And that, to reverse it, would require a presidential signature. It would require House, Senate, and President. So I doubt that he would sign it, except if the American people begin to fight back. When the American people find out that their health care is dissipating rapidly, and they're going to find that out very soon, because I saw a report the other day that said something like 60% of Medicare funds had already been shifted over to Medicaid. And then about 500 billion of Medicare funds are going to be used to fund this new healthcare bureaucracy. So I think when people find their services curtailed, they're going to start marching in the streets.
Part of the purpose that was penalize or to fine the doctors to help fund healthcare.
Yes, in other words, the current administration is looking for any way that it can raise taxes without saying the taxes. So they would increase your fees or penalties. Those are forms of taxes.
Right.
So it is in order to fund the government. Just a couple of days ago, maybe a week or two ago, they passed a bill which would limit small businesses competing on private business that should be, or business at the base that should be done by private business, but they're insourcing more and more of those activities. The law used to be that if you could look in the yellow pages and find a business, then the government should not be in that business. And now then they revoked the yellow page thing, plus they gave a preference to insourcing, so we're going to see less small business and more government doing its own thing. And that's going to cost another $28 billion, so you wonder why our deficit is skyrocketing. It's because we're making decisions like that. Saw the same report said that every employee costs the government about $4.4 million for the time they enter and the time they retire and get their benefits. And that's the reason that we cannot do things as cheaply with the government as we can with contractors. But I think you're going to see a lot of small businesses begin to hurt because they're insourcing more and more things. And in that bill, then the people who are asking labor to come here just to help them out. You've got all sorts of different labor visas in effect. Each one now is going to have to be processed at a cost of about $2,000 more, which means, again, another fee to fund this government, this hunger of government for more of your money. It's just, we're killing businesses through this fashion. Yes? Yes, ma'am.
In the immigration reform that different legislators want to bring to pass, how are they going to get rid of the situation where we have anchor babies that allow parents to stay when they're not legal? If we can secure the border and allow for certain immigration or work permits or whatever, how do you control that part of it with the anchor baby?
Well, again, my feeling is that, number one, we really need to review the constitutional provision that is being invoked. I think the constitutional provision is being invoked in different ways. Ambassadors' children, diplomats' children never get to be citizens, and yet they are under the jurisdiction of this country when they are born. If you come here without documentation, you're under the jurisdiction of this country according to the current court rulings. But the fact that you've got one group that is